QIA plus activists have created a lot of new terms, identity labels. I only know half of them, and talking about trans politics is my full-time job. These labels do not make sense, and I don't understand why they're a part of LGBT. Today I want to talk about demisexuality. What is demisexuality?
Demisexuality is a sexual orientation in which a person needs to have a deep emotional bond in order to have any form of attraction.
So a demisexual is someone who needs an emotional connection before sleeping with someone. Wow, so special and unique. How's that a sexual orientation?
The prefix demi means half, and that is due to the fact that this sexuality is located on a spectrum between allosexual and asexual. And because of this sexual orientation is part of the LGBTQ+ community. And you can still be demi-straight, demi-lesbian, demi-gay, demi-bi, and etc. The biggest myth about this sexuality is people assume that this is norm and everybody has it and it's just all about having morals. Unfortunately, this is not the case, and here's why. In most cases, people can separate their emotional attraction from their sexual attraction. However, for demisexuals, these two go hand in hand. Meaning demisexuals cannot really hook up to one-night stands, and they take time to warm up to you. See, for demisexuals, it's not really about how you look, it's more about what you have inside of you. Like your heart, your thoughts, your values. This is what demisexuals find attractive.
I still think it sounds pretty normal, and it sounds like you're describing most women. Due to biology, women can't just sleep with a random man. They don't know if they can trust him, feel safe with him. Of course, women also engage in hookup culture, but most women need some form of emotional bond before sleeping with someone. Men do not. Men are not biologically wired that way.
A dear friend of mine may have discovered that they're demi this pride and it made them feel all seen and valid. So this one's for you, bestie. I love you. Demisexual simply refers to somebody that requires an emotional bond in order to have satisfying physical relations. And you may go, doesn't everybody need an emotional bond in order to be intimate with someone? And if that's you...
No, not everyone can relate to it, but maybe 40%, 30 to 50% of the population can. That's a lot of people. So why need a label? I personally feel that in order to eat dessert, I have to eat dinner first. I cannot eat dessert before dinner. That's how I feel. It's so valid. So where's my label? What if other people are like me and they're sitting at home waiting to get labeled as something because otherwise they might die? Needing to be horny before having sex is kind of a given, and the point of having sex, so you're not special.
For the majority of people, romantic or emotional attraction and physical or sexual attraction are two different things. But for demisexuals, they are very much intertwined. Demi is also commonly a label that people will stack on. They'll say things like a demi-lesbian, or a demi-pan, or a demi-hetero.
So demisexuals are a group of people who need to be in love before having sex. Maybe it's not that common anymore in our modern society, but I don't think it's weird. If anyone can be a demisexual, even straight people, why are we adding demisexuality onto the LGBT acronym? Make it make sense.
How are you supposed to date as a demisexual? Like, seriously? Because I know for me, in the past, all my relationships have come out of people I've been friends with for years. I don't really want to just make friends with people and play the long game and wait for years to see if we develop feelings for each other. That might not happen. But also, what if only I develop feelings for them and they don't develop feelings for me? Or they had feelings for me, but I waited years to figure out my feelings and so they got bored, which would be fair enough. Doing regular dating doesn't seem to really work, because for me to find someone sexually attractive, I need to have an emotional bond with them and really get to know them and trust them. But I found from speaking to allosexuals that in order for them to get that bond and get to that stage, they need to have spicy time first.
I was about to say that. I think you can create this deep emotional bond with someone if you're having sex with them. Because it is hard to date someone if you don't kiss them, hold their hand, or anything remotely sexual. It's going to be almost impossible for you to know if they're going to end up being your friend or a boyfriend-girlfriend. But also with the whole emotional bond thing, if you want a really good friend, you need to feel close to them, have a great bond with them. But it doesn't mean you're in love with that friend. Sex is literally what determines if someone is your friend or your partner. Being in love and having sex, can you really separate the two? You can be in love with someone who's not in love with you and you haven't had sex with them, but you know what I mean. Sex is so beautiful and intimate, and you learn a lot about yourself and, of course, your partner when having sex. That level of intimacy is hard to replace. I'm having a hot flash right now. In other words, you can fall deeper in love with someone after having sex with them.
And don't even get me started with how I'm trying to figure out, like, my non-straight side and all of this. Like, I don't even know how to go about that. So, genuine tips. How are people doing it? Like, I've put that I'm Demi on dating websites, like dating apps, even though I hate dating apps. How are you supposed to find a picture of someone attractive? How am I supposed to know enough about someone to want to give my time, my precious time and energy to someone to, you know, for an evening to meet up, especially a guy when, like, you know, you could just get unalived because, they're the worst. So genuinely, how are people doing it? Please give me some success stories and explain how this works.
I know you didn't ask me for advice, but let me give you some anyways. Stop identifying as a demisexual. It's obviously not doing you any good. It sounds like you don't like being a demisexual. Try to figure out why you're feeling this way. Why are you having this issue? Find out why sexual attraction, sex in general, is complicated, according to you. It's not really supposed to be that difficult. If you personally are not a big fan of hookup culture, good for you, I don't like it either. It probably means you're more normal than you think. But what I've noticed with these demisexuals, but also asexuals, is a lot of them are autistic women. And here's why.
Here is a list of ways that autism affects sex and intimacy. Number 1, autism doesn't affect your sexual development, but it can influence your sexual relationships by affecting your communication and sensory perceptions. Number 2, core symptoms of autism, such as hyposensitivity and hypersensitivity, as well as repetitive behaviors, may also influence sexual intimacy. Number 3, autistic people are less likely to experience sexual relationships than people who aren't autistic. Number 4, autism may make it more challenging for autistic people to understand standard sexual education and physical intimacy at school. And number 5, when it comes to physically being able to have sex, some autistic people may struggle with certain social cues in the process.
Oh my god, the last one makes so much sense. I can only imagine how overwhelming dating and sex must be for autistic people. Not artistic, autistic. Sorry. Some autistic people don't want to be touched at all. Don't want to shake your hand, give you a hug, and of course wouldn't have sex with you. Dating is already difficult, even for the people who are not autistic. If you're going on a date with your crush, understanding social cues when being on a date can be hard because most of us are overthinking everything. I know some of you might believe I'm contradicting myself in this video because in the beginning, I talked about how it's normal wanting to get to know a person before sleeping with them. It doesn't make you special kind of thing. But now I'm saying, oh, it must be due to autism or trauma. But what I mean is, not wanting to participate in hookup culture doesn't mean you're suddenly an outcast and need this identity label created 2 seconds ago by people with enormous septum piercings. I do believe some people identify as demisexual to feel special, to feel like they finally belong in LGBT without being LGBT. They just want the clout. But I also believe if this is truly a problem for you, sex, sexual attraction, and so on, there must be something wrong. And I personally don't believe it's productive making your complicated dating and sex life into your entire personality. It shouldn't be your identity. As you all know, I constantly talk about the importance of having good mental health, of self-acceptance especially. It's not only transsexuals who have to work on their self-acceptance. All people should work on self-acceptance. And if you think sex, sexual attraction is difficult due to autism or trauma or anything in that lane, acknowledge it. Maybe someone could help you, especially if you dealt with sexual trauma. I believe it is possible to work with a professional to get over your trauma. Identifying as something that's not really a real thing out in real life is most likely not going to help you. If you don't have autism, if you don't deal with trauma, but you're a woman feeling demisexual, why don't you just embrace your biology? Own the fact you're a woman. There's nothing wrong with being a woman. And most importantly, there's nothing wrong with not being promiscuous, with not sleeping with a guy the first time you meet them. Biology matters and often explains why men and women act a certain way. Women are, due to their biology, sexually selective. I don't see the negative in that. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, remember to hit subscribe and the notification bell. If you want to support me and my channel, you can become a member, or I have my PayPal link in the description down below. Remember to follow me on social media. I love you and I cannot wait to see you in the comments. Peace out.